Thanks for joining me on Tableside with Kamilah. This afternoon, I set an Easter table. Easter is one of my favorite seasons. I love it because there's just so much promise in Easter. You see little boys in their little suits, you see little girls in their dresses. People are having Easter egg hunts in their backyard, or this is a time when your local park or your local community center or your golf course, they'll have an Easter egg hunt. And it's just, I have very fond memories of Easter growing up. And at this table, what I did was I created a table that was fun. I created an Easter table that was inviting. And this is a table, whether or not you celebrate Easter or you just want to celebrate the spring season, you can title your brunch whatever is appropriate for you and for the guests that you're bringing in. Because the name of your brunch, if you use Evite or if you send it out in text, it's almost like when you receive a wedding invitation, right? When you receive the wedding invitation, it tells you a lot about the style of the wedding and what the attire is going to be. And you have to think that way when you're inviting someone to your home. If you send an Evite, how you're going to title it. If I said, oh, come join me for a spring soiree, that's not going to be something my girlfriends that have toddlers and littles are going to want to really come to. But if I said, oh, join me for an Easter brunch or join me for a spring lunch, all invited, that's going to give them some idea of, oh, this is something that we can come to after church, or we can come to after the Easter egg hunt, and everyone is still invited. So making this table extremely inviting, I did this in a very purposeful way. What's not more light and inviting than bunnies? And so that's somewhat of my theme for my table. I have a plate that is definitely centered around the season. I know a lot of times I'll use like a plain white plate, which is totally fine, but I thought this plate was so cute, and the design of the bunny, that it can just look as if it's sitting right on the edge of the table. And then I have this little accent, so when people come in, if you have a girlfriend or you have a family member that has a little toddler and they're just really antsy, this is going to invite them to the table. If you don't want to go out and purchase an actual spring or Easter or holiday style plate because you don't want to, you're like, Kamilah, I'm not going to use a bunny plate outside of April. I get it, you're not. So what you can do is just take a white plate and just do a nice accent little dessert plate. You can do a bright yellow, a bright pink, a teal blue, just a color that you can either get from your 99-cent store or Michael's, just any type of little plate that you can put on top that basically communicates this is the spring season. And again, I always want to encourage you to reuse and repurpose the home goods that you have in your home. And I also want to thank you, because a lot of times I talked about how we want to create our home collection at Tableside, and we want to create a brand that's approachable for you. And a lot of you have given me some really great ideas of what your needs are in the marketplace, items and home goods that you like, those that are too expensive for you or just outside of your budget. You may have just moved into your first apartment or purchased your first home. So we want to make sure that we're putting things on the table that you can build throughout the life of your family or your entertaining, and that are comfortable for you. So if you notice on the table, these napkins we actually used during our, I believe it was our Thanksgiving table that we created. We use these glasses for Valentine's Day. So if you notice with the seasons, there always are going to be some consistent colors, consistent motifs, consistent patterns that you're going to see around every season. So when I think of that, just like an outfit, right? We always encourage you about a wardrobe. So you're going to always want to have something cream. You always want to have red, because red you can use for holiday, you can use for Valentine's Day. You always want to have something, a gold accent. These are items that you're always going to be able to interchange throughout your table. So what I did purchase were these cute little alabaster bright pink napkin rings. So napkin rings are something really easy that it's not a huge price point where you can interchange them and it'll really change your table. So if you can't change your plate or change your glassware, it's really easy to change a napkin ring at a simple price and create something new. So this is a table that we have here. Always I like to use fresh flowers. So these are tulips that I picked up at Whole Foods, so you can use something like this. Remember that most of your guests are going to bring you a hostess gift. Some may bring wine, some may bring cider. Easter, but I find during the Easter season, in my experience with entertaining, a lot of people will bring flowers. And what is the most honoring thing that you can do for a guest who brings flowers? Don't just put it on the side because you're so busy. My suggestion would be to already have a vase out, just a glass vase that you have around the house. So as soon as they give you the flowers, you can just cut the flowers immediately, put them in the vase, and put them somewhere on the table. If they don't go with your actual table setting, put them by the door, put them on the counter, put them on your coffee table. But your guest knows that it's not just being put to the side. Like, they see it on the table, and it's also bringing them in to the environment. But this is an Easter brunch, and what I love about Easter is that it's full of new beginnings. And for me, Easter always symbolizes a change in seasons, right? Because in nature, no matter if we fight it or not, the seasons are going to change. And in our life, no matter if we fight it or not, our seasons are going to change. But change is also an opportunity for you to be launched into what's next in your life. Now, I've always been somewhat of a fashion girl. I loved accents, I love clothes, but I dressed for the season I was in, right? We dress and we show up for life based upon the season that we're in and where we're planted. And I come from San Diego, or as some people would say, San Diego. So in San Diego, it's always warm. Like, it's always 75 degrees. I never even really had a coat. But as I moved to New York, I had to adjust to the seasons and the weather that was in this city. Was it challenging? Of course it was challenging, but I had people around me that encouraged me, that showed me how to show up for the day. And one takeaway that I really had was layering. And when I think of layering as I go out to my day in New York, I also think about it as we each should approach our life. So what a lot of friends told me was, you have to prepare for the day. That even you may look outside and the sun may be out, it could be really cold outside. So what I've learned is, when I put on my outfit for the day, I also add outerwear. Like, I thought leg warmers were just for fashion. Like, I thought leg warmers, 80s, it's just fashion. But leg warmers are actually to keep your legs warm. These are things I didn't know. So when I get dressed now, I layer and I put things on depending on what the conditions are outside and as the conditions change. So what I'm doing is I'm able to move and flow throughout the day based upon the atmosphere of what's going on around me. And the great thing about community, or the great thing about having people that know you, is that even in those days where I kind of go outside, I'm passing my doorman and I look so cute, they'll stop and they'll say, hey, it's really cold outside, or today the wind's really strong. And don't we need people like that in our lives? Don't we need people to tell us, hey, the wind's really strong, you might want to dress different for that today? Or, hey, why don't you pause and think about what's going to happen at 5 o'clock instead of preparing for what's happening at 9 o'clock in the morning? And so that's what we're doing here at Tableside. We're preparing, we're ushering in a new season, and we're coming together as a community so we can encourage each other and give each other those tools that we'll always need. So at Tableside, my desire in my heart is always to instruct and inspire. So definitely we have key instructions that really never change. Like, if you notice, I have some key pillars, some key points that I always give you in terms of setting the table, and also to inspire you. So what have we gone through so far? We've talked about seasons are normal, seasons in nature are normal, seasons in your life are normal, that growth is okay, that it's okay to be in a season of rebuilding, that we want not only to live, but we want to thrive. And also I want to encourage you to guard your momentum. And so what do I mean by that? So for example, these tulips that are here, right? I went and I purchased the tulips down at the flower market, and I popped them up and they were available to me. Well, there was someone somewhere who put seeds in the ground long before now to make sure that when spring came and there were people that were in need, that the tulips were available. So you have to think about that as it relates to your life, that we plant seeds now for a mighty harvest. So what are you doing right now to plant the seeds in your life? We're not going to wait until summer to say, oh, I want to be fit for my holiday, or oh, I want to plan a trip to Europe. You're going to plant those seeds right now in the ground, whether it be your workout, whether it be your budget, whether it be you nurturing those friendships, knowing that you want to have someone to travel with over the summer. So we have to prepare for a mighty harvest. And if we guard our momentum and we know who we are and we plant seeds in the ground, when the momentum starts to take shape, when that process starts to happen, we are ready to go and we are ready to launch because we've already done some good digging. We've already had really great soil. We've already planted seeds in the ground. And when the harvest comes for you, as it always will, we'll be with you here at Tableside to cheer you on, to encourage you, to nurture you in every season. So thanks for joining me on Tableside with Kamilah. And remember, there's always a chance to set your own table.